Hi guys and welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming a book haul video for you. I know I said in my last video that a book haul wouldn't be something that I think could be a regular feature on my channel, however it seems I am back with another one. I think actually at the time I thought the reason why I wouldn't do book hauls regularly is because before I used to get paid weekly, so I could just buy whatever I wanted whenever. Now I get paid monthly, so it just rolled around to that time of the month where I'm like, I want to buy all these books on my list, and so I end up doing that. I actually don't think I'm going to be buying a lot next month though, because I haven't actually got through a lot of the books that I've purchased this month, so we shall see. Anyway, so I purchased a lot of books on my Kindle this month, and then I have a couple of physical copies. The first book I picked up was Circe by Madeline Miller. So this book is actually a pre-order and it's not going to come out until the 19th of April. I picked this book up because I saw another fellow booktuber talking about this, and I've read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller in 2016. I think I just stumbled across it by accident and I absolutely loved it. I didn't know she was releasing this book, so when I saw that she was, I was like, I'm definitely buying it. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller is a book about Greek mythology, and so is Circe. I am not going to sit here and say that I have a huge interest in Greek mythology. I really don't. I know some of it, but I really don't know the ins and outs of it. Circe is a story of, I think she's a goddess who is born, and apparently she has neither the looks or sort of the grace of, a goddess, and she's sort of rejected by her people. So she's quite isolated and quite alone, and I guess it just leads her to harness like sort of the dark side of her power. From reading the blurb, from what I saw from reading the blurb, she basically casts a spell which is something to do with witchcraft, which leads to her being banished. So she gets banished to another island where there she actually learns to harness her power, but I think a lot of it is to do with dark magic. But the story is about how different like sort of gods and popular names pass through that island that she's been exiled to. From what I know, this story is inspired by Homer's Odyssey. I don't know that much about it. I think I'm just more excited to read it because for me, like I said, I don't know much about Greek mythology, but the way Madeline Miller writes, she really makes the whole story come to life. I'm currently rereading Song of Achilles again, actually, just because I know this book is coming out, and even though they're completely not related, I just wanted to delve back into it. But if you haven't read the Song of Achilles, I definitely recommend you going to do that, and then hopefully once I've read Circe, I can give it a review or give my opinions on it. The next book I picked up is Homefire by Kamila Shamsie. I've seen this book being advertised like everywhere, but this was a couple of months ago. The reason I actually picked it up this time is because I went on a date probably about a month and a bit ago, and the guy on the date actually mentioned it to me and said it was a really good book, because we were speaking a lot about books. So I decided to give it a go. I mean, it's everywhere, and he said it was actually really good. I think the reason why we touched on it was because, from what I know, this focuses on a girl that moves to America, who's finally sort of left her family after the death of her mum, who's been able to, I guess, sort of, I say escape, but, you know, come to realise that, go chase her dreams, but she's quite worried about her sister that she's left behind and her brother that she's left behind, and sort of the influence that, I guess, life is going to have on them, because they're Muslim. So I think this book really tackles a really, I guess, not even a taboo subject, but a subject that's going to be really hard to write about, especially in this day and age, like, where people are just so Islamophobic. They just don't want to understand what is behind Islam, and just that there are good people in there. So I think she really touches on a bit of like extremism, because from what I've read in the back, that's what the brother is sort of going down that road to, like chase his dad, or like live up to the expectation of his dad, who was a jihadist, and then she's just quite worried about her sister. So I think it's really popular in that element because it's, the writer writes about something that I think a lot of people will find really hard to do, and I guess to give justice to, and not make it seem like they're actually being really racist in a way. So I'm really excited to read that book. The next book I picked up was We Should All Be Feminist by Chimanda Ngozi Adichie. I hope I'm saying her last name in the right order. I actually had the privilege of seeing her and Renee speak at the Women of the World South Bank event in March. They were so good. They were so brilliant. I am just in awe of both of them, and it was just such a lovely evening. I went by myself, and it was so cool because loads of people went by themselves. So I was sitting next to a girl who went by herself, and we were just chatting for a little bit, and loads of people came by themselves, and it was just a great evening to be in a room with people who were really interested about what these ladies were talking about. I won't talk too much about the show, but they were just talking about like feminism, racism. If you guys don't know, Renee is the woman that wrote Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, and it was just such a brilliant evening. But anyway, I have read Americana and half of The Yellow Sun by Chimanda, but I haven't read any of her other books, so I really wanted to pick up this book because I know it's a bit of an introduction to feminism. I know this was also the clip that was in that Beyonce song, but I've never seen that video, so I don't really know. But yeah, I just wanted to pick it up. If you don't know what this book is about, it's basically like a really basic introduction to feminism and why everyone, not just women, but men as well, should be for feminism and what actually the feminist movement can do for people, and that it's an inclusive movement and everyone should be for feminism. But I think it's just a really, I think this is really basic, but that's what I need at this moment in time, because I'm not really well versed in any of these things. And I just again wanted to read another book by Chimanda. I think she does such brilliant work, like she writes such brilliant things. So I just wanted to pick it up in light of going to the show and realising, actually I haven't read that book. I was like, let me pick it up. So the next book I picked up is A Single Man by Christopher Isherwood. I said I would hold books on this side. I was recommended this book on Twitter because I put out a tweet like a while back asking people what books they think I should read, and a couple of my friends responded, and one of the choices was this. So I looked this up and it just looked like something I would read. It's a really short read as well, so I thought, why not? This book is to do with an English professor who moves to California. I think he's either in California and he's dealing with the death of his lover, as in they both lived there and then his lover died, or he moves to California after his lover died. I'm not really too sure. And that is actually the long and short of the story. It just talks about, I guess, how he deals with the death, and apparently there's a lot of humour behind it, and I think it's just one of those stories where it's not going to be a great epic tale, but it's probably a really good story about dealing with life and dealing with something as awful as grief. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. The next book that I picked up is Gallup by Lauren Bates. She is the lady that is behind the Everyday Sexism movement, and she wrote the first book, well, her first book, Everyday Sexism. I have never read that book by her and don't really know much about her other than like what I've seen on Twitter and things being retweeted. However, this was mentioned in someone's video and it just seemed really good, and now that I've got it, one, I really like the cover of this, and when I saw the cover I was like, oh, I really like this, but now that I've got it, when I opened it, this book isn't what I expected. Like, it's got a lot of just things like this in it, which I really like. I think this book is just a bit of a manifesto to all the things that, as a woman, you've been told that you have to be this, you have to be that, these are the things that you need to do. I think this book is coming at a really good time for me, because I am at that point in my life where I'm just not questioning things because I'm a woman, but more questioning my life. But I think this book is going to be a little bit of a little help guide for me, but I just want to read the back quickly because it's just as this, like, they said you need to be thin and beautiful, they told you wear longer skirts, avoid going out late at night and move in groups, wear shoes you can run in more easily than heels, dress to flatter your apple pear hourglass shaped figure but don't look like a slut. They said if you're strong or opinionated you'll be shrill, bossy or ball breaker. They said that's not for girls, take it as a compliment, don't rock the boat. They told you beauty's on the inside but you knew they didn't really mean it. Well, screw that, I'm here to tell you something else. And it's just great. It says that she's just going to mock the ludicrous pressures and stereotypes faced by young women today. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think this is just going to be, again, I think it's probably a really basic sort of, if you're into feminism and you're looking for like feminist literature, this probably isn't what you're going to be looking for. But I think this is, again, just a little bit of a power manifesto for women and for like young girls. The next book I picked up is Know Your Place, which is Essays on the Working Class by the Working Class. I did order a physical copy of it, however I don't have it yet. I know they're having, well, not having a problem, but there is a backlog of like print issues to do with it. I was going to order it from their website, then it was sold out, so I ordered it from Amazon, and now I'm still waiting for it. I can't remember where I first heard about this book, but I'm really, really excited to read it. Okay, it's not a book, it's more of an anthology of poems, but it's poems written by working class people, and it's just to do with a broad range of subjects, so literature, poverty, sexuality, race. I think a lot of people don't understand that when you're working class, you're affected by a whole bunch of things, not even just that title of working class. So yeah, it really does delve into, like, you know, poor people in like working class, but sexuality when you're in working class. I haven't read anything from it, but I'm really, really excited. I've had it's brilliant. The next book I picked up is the third book, keep doing it, is the third book from the Elena Ferrante, I can't say the word, Napoleon? It's about the girls from Naples series. So I said in my book haul that my last book haul that I picked up the 4th book. This time I've now managed to pick up the 3rd book. So the 3rd book is called My Brilliant Friend. So in this book, both the characters, Elena and Lena, are now women, like, living their lives. They're both on very different separate paths when they left off in the 2nd book. So one of them has had a baby really early. She's gone, I guess, down that traditional route of like a really small village life, of like settling down and having kids. If you've read the book, you'll know I'm doing that. Whereas Elena has gone on to like university and school. So this book basically follows them throughout their adult lives and how their friendship goes and how they still stay in touch, but how ultimately they both lead very, very different lives now. But I guess they're both still like intertwined with each other. The one thing, if you don't know anything about this series, is it's about friendship, and that's the one thing I like about it. I think friendship as a whole is a very like complicated topic. This book really deals with the fact that actually you can have some really toxic friends, or a toxic friend, but ultimately you're probably going to be like sort of joined with them for life. And this book just really explores friendship and what it is to be a friend. I'm really excited to finish reading this series. Kind of dreading it a little bit just because these books I feel like are a bit long-winded. They're really intense and grappling, and she's an excellent writer, but as much as I enjoy reading about female friendships, I think this can be really long. I just realised I said that book was called My Brilliant Friend. No, it's called Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. I thought that's where my book haul would end, and that would be all the books that I bought during the month of March. However, I ended up picking up 3 books on my Kindle that I totally wasn't expecting to pick up. I'm a subscriber of Lounge Books, which is run by Samantha Missingham, or Sam Missingham, I hope I'm saying her last name right, and she just sends out sort of weekly or like bi-weekly emails to do with like book deals, ebook deals. I think sometimes they're physical copies, but I'm usually on the hunt for ebook deals. And there were 3 books on there that I've seen around that I not really wanted to read. One of them I really wanted to read. And they were there, they were at a decent price, and I thought, why not? Why not just buy them? You know, you've just been paid, why not? So the next 3 books I just picked up on a bit of a whim, but they were really affordable. The first book I got is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. This book has been everywhere, so I feel like I don't really need to explain what it's about, but the book is basically themed on loneliness. It's about Eleanor Oliphant, who has had a really traumatic childhood, and as she's just grown up and transitioned through to adulthood, she's just really kept herself to herself. She doesn't really seem to have developed those social skills that I guess most of us seem to develop. I say most of us who were able to develop them, she does have a job, she goes to work, she comes home, but she doesn't see anyone like outside of work. She doesn't really do anything, and in the blurb like it says that basically she spends her weekend, she goes home, buys pizza, buys a bottle of vodka, and basically blanks out every single weekend, and then continues that cycle. And then, as it says in the back of the book, there's a small act of kindness. She basically is involved with another colleague of hers in helping a man who's sort of fallen over, and through that she's like sort of, I guess, brought back into mainstream society. The book is really funny. There are so many bits that I just found myself laughing. I actually saw a really, really good review on this book by another booktuber, and I will link it down below because I thought it was excellent. She actually said it was interesting that the parts in the book that I guess were humorous were actually at the expense of Eleanor rather than laughing at Eleanor, because a lot of the times when you're laughing at her, you're just laughing because of how she doesn't know little things that like most people do know, and like, yeah, you are laughing at her expense because you're laughing at her way of interacting with people and how she thinks people are quite odd. The book is brilliant. So yeah, I have already blasted through this book because currently I'm reading Song of Achilles, like I mentioned before, and I'm reading Lincoln in the Bardo, which is a book that I picked up in my previous haul. However, I am not enjoying Lincoln in the Bardo, so I'm really like delving into other books while I'm reading it, and this book was a great distraction for me. Yeah, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I will actually link the video that I watched below though, because the book, she was looking at the book in the context of the literary prize that it's been suggested for, so it's a really good different spin on it, and she really goes into depth about what the plot is. But it's a really good book if you're the sort of person that's ever felt like solid loneliness, like if you ever just felt that you just don't belong, and that you felt that you haven't had many friends, because she literally doesn't have any friends, and she's had a really traumatic childhood as well. So Definitely recommend that. The next book I'm going to talk about is Three Things About Elsie. I haven't heard much about this book, except that I know it's about dealing with, I guess, dementia, Alzheimer's, I can't remember which one. It's basically to do with an 84-year-old elderly lady who's taken a tumble in her flat. I think she's waiting to be rescued. As she waits to be rescued, she's worried that one of her deep secrets is going to come out, and then something to do with why does her new neighbour look like someone she knew about 60 years ago. So obviously if you do know it's to do with like dementia, then you know she's probably a little bit confused about life. But other than that, I do not know much about it. I'm intrigued to read it because it's been longlisted for a prize, and a lot of people seem to have enjoyed it. And I think, again, like with Eleanor Oliphant, it's touching on a subject that I think a lot of books, or at least a lot of mainstream books, don't seem to go there. The final book I picked up is again another book that has just been everywhere, which is The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This book seems like one I think I'm going to enjoy. So the premise of the book is that there is a party on a huge mansion on one of the days, and during the party, I think it's the host's daughter, her name is Evelyn Hardcastle, she gets killed. The quote on the back of the book is like, someone's going to die tonight, it's going to look like a murder but it's actually not a murder. You, like the character I guess, need to do justice for this and rectify this situation so that this girl can have justice. And basically what happens, I don't know why I'm laughing, it just sounds a bit funny because it sounds like, I think this would actually make a really good film. But basically the day gets replayed until I guess the main character solves the murder. So until he realises who is actually the murderer. So I think it sounds like it's a bit of like that game, like Who Done It, or was it Cluedo or something like that, one of those board games. It sounds like it's one of those. And basically the day gets repeated over and over again until he finds out who the murderer is. I recently actually done an escape room with like people from work, and I'm just thinking if that was me I'd be awful at finding out who did it, because obviously escape rooms are meant to be really hard and just things that just you wouldn't think about, but I just think I'd make an awful detective. So it sounds like a really good book because I feel like you're going to see him notice really different things that he wouldn't have noticed on that day. So it sounds like it's going to be interesting. Other than that, I'm not expecting like humongous things from it, but I think it will be a nice, good, like easy and light read. And that is it for my book haul. So yeah, I am really aware of the fact that I have purchased a lot of books. And some of them are really long, so I don't think I'll be purchasing a number of books for a while, but I mean that's the way it goes. At least I can save myself some money next month. I hope you really enjoy these books. Let me know if you've read any of them. If you want to talk about them, just leave me comments below, I'll be sure to reply, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!